Yeah, let's see which one.
It'll be on the 6th. 5:30 is.
I've got something. Always don't. No, we normally don't meet at 5:30. Hey, let's. Way down at Lincoln County, here and there.
I share by the keys. You got something to that?
It is 5:30 when we will call this special call meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Carroll,
Present.
Commissioner Gill,
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez, Chairman Landers,
Here.
Commissioner McGee.
Here.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor,
Here.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Here.
and Commissioner Willow.
Here.
You do have a quorum with, 8 members present, 1 absent.
All right. Approval of the agenda. It stays the same.
It is.
Motion to approve. Okay. I'll take that as a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Any constituent comments on this at this time?
We're not having anybody signed up.
No constituent comments. We'll move right into old business, which there are none. So it's the new business, and take it away, Tom.
Okay, so if you recall, a couple months ago, Cooper Steel Fabrication Facility and their training facility on North Hillcrest Drive, came in for a site plan approval. This amendment is to the stormwater facility. So they've met, in essence, they've met all the other requirements of the conditions that were done under the site plan. And this was the original, this is the original site plan that shows this off-site stormwater facility. Since that time, that facility, or that site is not available. So they were required to change the location to an underground stormwater facility. So that was the only change in this. We only had one procedural comment, which was that the stormwater agreement and the long-term maintenance plan are required to be recorded prior to the grading. And so we're recommending approval with that one procedural comment.
So originally the stormwater was across the street.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And now we've got it on their parcel underground.
Yes.
That's the only change.
That's the only change.
Any other questions? Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, roll call.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
and Commissioner Willow.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, it stands approved, and that is the only item on this portion of the meeting, so we'll stand adjourned at 6 o'clock for the regular meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Said five.
I said 5, that was close. Good job.
Two of them number of people.
Everybody, just so you'll know, the meeting will be broadcast on the television out in the lobby, and there are chairs out there if you wanna sit and watch it from out there. You have to you can't block the doorway, you gotta stand to either side of it.
Okay, it is 6:00, call to order, roll call.
Mayor Carroll,
Present.
Commissioner Gill,
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez, Chairman Landers,
Here.
Commissioner McGee,
Here.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor,
Here.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Here.
Commissioner Wilhoit.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, you do have a quorum with 8 members present.
All right. Approve the agenda. I think we've got 3 items that need to be talked about. Thomas?
Yes, sir. So, the 3 items, H, I, and J of the regular agenda, if we could take those off of the agenda, and they will return in December's planning commission meeting. And they are connected to administrative item D, which, if it's okay with the planning commission, if we can move that up to agenda item H.
Okay. So for note, this is the one from the Shelbyville Housing Authority. So with those notations, I'll entertain a motion for the agenda. Motion.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, approval of the minutes from the planning commission meeting of October 24th. Those look good to you.
Make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion made, seconded, all.
I'm sorry, you know what, but
Copy.
I don't think y'all got a copy of them. I finished them, but I just now, looking at everybody's blank faces, realized I didn't email them to you. So if you'd make that motion to defer them till next month, I would appreciate it.
Make a motion to defer that to. Second.
Motion made, seconded to defer. All right, this time we'll have constituent comments. I think we've got 4.
We actually have 5 signed up. The first one is John Teague. Mr. Teague, you have 3 minutes. When you start speaking, I'll set the timer, okay?
Good job. Does that count against my?
No, sir. When you start speaking.
Time.
Okay.
I'm here to address all the items on the agenda, not just one in particular that I'm extremely concerned about. But my point of being here tonight and what I passed out was a copy of the drought monitor, USDA drought monitor, that shows the condition that we're in and have been in for most of the year and as well as last year. And it's serious. It's really serious. And then I passed out a copy of the governor's executive order that he issued. It was stamped November the 22nd. I urge you to incorporate, you're going to have to probably take a look at this and incorporate this into your planning commission processes because it's pretty extensive. And there is one particular section of drought planning, and it says TDEC in collaboration with the DRA and with appropriate input from other stakeholders is directed to develop a comprehensive regional drought management plan. And folks, I deal with farmers every day. I've got people that are hauling water to their animals. I've got people with dry wells. We don't have any waters in the streams, and what does it take to make a river? It takes runoff, and we haven't had sufficient runoff in quite some time. We've had 2 years in a row. You always plan based on your most limiting factor. Land is not a limited factor in this part of the country, nor is the roads. You can raise taxes and build whatever roads you want to, nor is it the manpower or the city services. All you gotta do is raise taxes and increase the services. But what does go against you is the most limiting factor is the Duck River watershed. And keep in mind that Bedford County pulls out of it below you, as well as about 7 or 8 other municipalities on down the river. So I'm glad to see that the governor sees that it's an important issue, and I encourage you to take a look. My question at this point is, given the circumstances that we have, how would we be, what kind of condition would we be if we had 5,000 more houses? And let's throw in half a dozen or 2 industries. That's what everybody would like to have. You have 877 houses proposed on tonight's agenda. There were 4 others that were small and didn't indicate any lots numbers or that kind of thing. So here we are approaching almost the first 1,000 of another 5,000. Where would we be, or where will we be, if y'all don't do a good job of incorporating this into your plan? The Duck River watershed is the most important river in the North America in terms of biodiversity. We all have heard that before. It's not going to go away. The pearly winged mussel is not going away. The snail darter is not going away. But what can go away is sufficient flow to handle what you approve.
Thank
The next person signed up is Haley Epperson. Ms. Epperson, you have 3 minutes. The timer will start when you start to speak.
I'm just addressing the item on B. It backs up to my field to the west of the plot for Curl. I've noticed it looks like they're changing the creek pattern to the pond, and I also have concerns of elevation, if it would cause my plot to start holding water or being damp. I saw where he raised the plot next to the bypass, and it used to slope down, and they've only put a pipe in consideration to handle any excess flow from the house to the right. So I'm wondering if that would be the same remedy, because I don't feel like that's the best solution. Also the ordinance or the order 108 of Governor Lee as well. I saw that go into effect, and I know they tried to get this on the agenda before that went into effect. I think they missed the 10-day deadline as well. And so I feel that we may be trying to rush this to meet that. I also know many people that wanted to speak on this order or item B, and they didn't because of Thanksgiving plans. So I didn't know if it could be deferred so there would be more adequate representation, since most of Union Station is here for item A. So I didn't know if that could be considered. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person signed up for that, for comments, Charles Saunders.
Yeah.
Saunders, you have 3 minutes.
Theoretically, more people means a bigger tax base, and we should actually have lower taxes. My taxes have gone up every year. I have a friend in Murfreesboro that has a house that's worth quite a bit more than mine. He pays quite a bit less taxes. We're doing something wrong here. We have not got the right infrastructure for all of these houses. We've already approved in the last 4 or 5 years over 2,000 new units. A lot of those still aren't built. We've already heard from John Teague about the water. The last time I came to one of these meetings, we were promised there was adequate water. Now they don't know if there is adequate water. They also said it would be adequate electricity. We know that they're building nuclear power plants, but we don't know for sure because there's so many people coming into the state. We don't know if we're going to have all of these. We sure don't want a rolling blackout. What about the sewer? What about the police and fire departments? Every time people come in, that means there's going to be more people. And as John has already alluded to, that means more taxes. Who's going to pay these taxes? We hope these other people that move in will, but it hasn't happened so far in the last 5 years. So I don't know how we're gonna magically start having people that are gonna pay plenty of taxes. We're not doing what we're supposed to do. And the planning commission is supposed to plan ahead for things like this. When we see forced growth like this, we are the bedroom communities for places like Murfreesboro and Nashville. They don't stay here. They don't work here. We need more industry before we get more people here. I think that's one of the things that we really are lacking. I know as a planning commission, that's not 100% your job, but it is to say, hey, we've got enough new houses. Everywhere I look, new houses being built, and they'll say that, new houses being built. We don't need to add another 2,000 or 700 like that on B. It's crazy. You know, we don't need to have that kind of forced growth, then we'd never be able to catch up. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Cassidy? Did I say your name right?
Yes.
Okay. Hang on just a minute, it needs reset. There we go. It'll start when you start to speak, 3 minutes.
My name is Joan. In regards to the planned community known as Remington Farms, that community backs up pretty much to the end of my neighborhood. And I've personally seen adding the cars in the neighborhood would just be so detrimental. And as a parent, and I have kids, add in schools, bus drivers, I mean, everything that we already lack already. I get calls being like, oh, hey, my bus, the bus today, I have to come get you. We don't have enough people here to do the jobs as it is, and then you're adding houses and kids and cars. And personally, I don't believe 41A could hold the traffic of the amount of cars that are gonna come. And, I don't think it's right. So I hope that goes into consideration.
Thank you. The final speaker tonight is Patrick Walker.
Good evening. Good evening. Let's start time.
Yeah, so whenever you start speaking, it will start.
All right, good evening. Greystone, Deer Run, Bridlewood, Cottonwood. The proposed use of the property in item E does not conform to the surrounding usages, i.e. duplexes and triplexes versus single-family residential structures. We value the beauty and serenity of our cul-de-sacs and neighborhoods. Adjoining property residents have worked for years to maintain their properties as well as the fringes of this property to maintain a harmonic balance with the natural plant and wildlife of our neighborhoods. The proposed construction, if rezoned, and similar to Mr. Curl's other properties, would cause irrevocable harm to this balance. A large portion of the proposed rezoning is in a flood retention area. This area is construction and filling prohibited. The previous owners engaged in repeated and unpermitted dumping of any and all type of material that was then pushed into the flood retention area of lot 27 and then down the hill. Has environmental testing been conducted, or is it planned for this additional filled area? What is the plan for the flood retention areas? Myself and some of my neighbors, we have some questions about putting 30 duplexes at the end of our cul-de-sac where all of our kids are in the streets playing, and what's going to happen to if there is a flood. And so I would like you to consider that when you hear their comments later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's all the comments we have for tonight.
Okay. Old business, A, consideration of recommendation to the city council for approval of planned unit development, Remington Farms, formerly known as the Swing Estate, map 79, parcel 47, on parcel totaling 118 acres. The planned unit development proposes 315 townhomes, 400 single-family detached dwellings, and 10.61 acres of commercial zone district. Harold Seagroves is representing James Swing and Don Bobo, who are the owners at this time. This item has received referrals from 12/28/23. So take it away, Thomas.
All right, well, I thought I'd start off with a little bit of the history, but just to get to the meat of the matter, I'll go ahead and skip through a majority portion of it. So let's see. I think to refresh everybody's memory of what this might look like, because it's been some time here. We're looking at multiple phases, 12 phases total. And the part that I wanted to point out that this has, I want to say there's been at least 4 meetings with TDOT to address the traffic study. And in the last couple times, in July 23rd and August 19th, TDOT provided additional requirements to analyze for the applicant and the owners. And this has been the portion that the applicants have been working on at other levels besides with the local Region 3. They've attempted to go higher to find a way to compromise on the requirements that you saw here. So, you know, for me, I don't know what the position of the Planning Commission is, but you know, I think they've exhausted pretty much all their avenues for the compromise, and it must get down to the actual addressing those comments. And for that reason, I was recommending that this be deferred until January to allow them. But in order to give, you know, not just hear my side, I think probably in the last 4 months now, we've been practicing that basically for any rezoning, annexations, any PUD applications, allowing the applicant to speak, just so that you're not hearing it from myself or my version of it, and just to allow people to have both sides of the story. So with that, I'll turn it over to whoever wants to speak.
Hi, I'm Steve Knox. I'm part owner of Remington Farms. And we had a meeting this month with TDOT, went over a whole bunch of details, and we're in the process of updating the traffic study for the 3rd time. We should have that sometime next month. And then TDOT has requested that once that traffic study is completed, for us, TDOT, and the city to sit down to go over that traffic study and see if we can come up with a resolution for all the changes that need to be done on 41. So I'm also asking for referral to give us time to accomplish that.
Have you addressed any of the design standards that were brought up at the last planning commission meeting?
That's what I was gonna actually
Okay.
bring up. So, which I neglected to when I was speaking. But in essence, all the other requirements have been addressed. So, and if you look in your packet, this was in May, April, May, when all the comments had been addressed. So the only thing that's been sticking, you know, causing the delay has been the traffic study.
Okay. So the recommendation has been made to defer pending TDOT getting back with the developer in the city.
I think that's how much information that we need to know is from TDOT, and I would recommend that we defer it till January 2025.
Motion made, seconded, roll call.
Bo, you made that motion,
Yes, ma'am.
and Mr. Taylor. Mayor Carroll. This is a motion to defer.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Can I make a comment for a vote? Or not?
Well, there wasn't any discussion.
So I can. This has got to stop. I thought we discussed this last month, that we were just gonna take it from off the agenda.
I thought the motion.
I thought there was a motion to remove it last
We were
month.
gonna defer or withdraw.
Yeah, withdraw. This
Can I
is
speak
just-
on that? For one, it's up to the applicant to withdraw their application. At this point, the application has been made and it continues on. This is similar to any rezoning application. Planning Commission makes a recommendation to City Council, who then makes a determination whether or not to approve or not approve.
I believe it was, I think the main concern was that it was sitting stagnant so long. It seems like that from last month, it's kind of got the thing rolling a little bit better, so.
And maybe that's maybe that's a fault on my part not communicating, because I knew, to a certain extent what was going on behind the scenes, so.
Okay. Your vote?
No.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilhoit.
Yes.
Commissioner McGee.
No.
The motion to defer does pass with 6 yeses, 2 noes.
Okay, B.
May I speak at this moment, for a moment? Tom, you tell us that everybody has signed off, the police department, the fire department, Shelbyville Power, Water and Sewer. What about the Bedford County School System? Do they come into the picture of how we're gonna educate those children that's gonna live in this development?
They were given, late, I wouldn't say it was October of last year, I did a project for them. And we provided all the subdivision that were planned for, including this one, including, Lexington Cove PUD. So all those homes, this one, and pretty much all the ones that are actually on the agenda, with the exception of, I would say, Claxton Estate, for their strategic planning for the future. Now, as far as commenting on, they don't typically comment on, and they haven't ever sent any indication otherwise.
And the applicant's looking at maybe 10 years to get this development built.
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that the education system can try to keep up. We're behind now.
Yes, and that was one of the comments that was made about that particular area, because we had the Lexington Cove coming in at that time, as well as projecting this one. And they were looking at how they would actually shuttle the children into which school, where they would need to provide school. So,
Thank you, Tom.
yes, sir.
Since we're talking on this, and I'll stop right now, I'll make a comment. I was telling the mayor earlier, I received a call about an hour before I came to this meeting from Ubi Mallard, who is the chairman of Shelbyville Power. They were notified this afternoon that it looks like their application to draw 10 point some odd million gallons a day out of Duck River is going to be approved. That will be official a week from Tuesday, so I just want to throw that out there. So they're getting their application to bring more water if they need. So she wanted that to be put out there, but it will be official a week from today. So, moving on to B, Consideration of preliminary plat for a major subdivision, Claxon Estates, located on Richdale and Brown Lanes, tax map and parcel number 69, 87, 74.01, 77, zone R3, medium density residential except for the right of way, zone R2. Total 27.07 acres, Pearl Properties LLC owner. 73 single-family dwelling lots, and this was deferred from the regular planning commission meeting of October.
Yes, so as you can see, this is just east of Fairfield Pike and south of Ridgedale, located on Brown Lane. It had been actually combined back in July. 73 lots is proposed. This was deferred from last month's meeting, and we only had one comment that needed to be addressed, or one procedural comment, I should say. As far as everything else, the applicant has met the standards of our regulations. And so we're recommending approval with the two procedural comments, and that is to add to the preliminary plat a note stating that the updated traffic study will be required with submittal of the construction plans of phase 3. And then any type of off-site improvements, the applicant will be responsible for, which means that they would, in those cases, they would also provide letters of credit or some type of way of assuring that those improvements are performed. The second procedural comment is that Brown Lane and Richdale Lane frontages be brought up to current paved standards, which is 22 feet. And if there were any questions on the traffic study, I did bring Will, because I think there was a question at the last discussion.
Yes, on the traffic study, it would be good to, what were the biggest concerns found on that? And were there any things that activated a traffic signal or anything? And then I guess, and the other question will be, was Brown Lane taken into account on that study? Because Brown Lane is very, very small, and it's already a lot of traffic through there, as we all know. Was that addressed in any way?
Yeah, so Commissioner Gill, the traffic study, what will likely occur when that third phase comes through, I believe it's after 41-ish, 42 lots.
At the start of phase 3.
At the start of phase 3.
Yes.
The updated traffic study, I would anticipate would indicate that a left turn lane would be required to be installed on Fairfield Pike at the Brown Lane intersection, and possibly also at the Richdale intersection. So that was the thought process behind requiring an update to the traffic study when they get to that point. Is if those thresholds are met, then those turn lanes would be required before any additional funds beyond those first two phases would be allowed. And then the Brown Lane and Richdale, as you saw, one of the procedural comments was that both of those would be brought to current width standards. That would be with phase 1. So immediately as part of the construction of phase 1, those roads would be brought to the current 2-foot paved width standard.
How does the traffic studies change? We had received, and I think it was from the governor's office and from TDOT, that most of the funding that they had already set in place for a 10-year plan was changing because of the storm that hit East Tennessee. Now those roads are going to have to be rebuilt. Of course, those folks' needs are worse than ours, and they need to be taken care of. Is that affecting these traffic studies that we've already got in place?
Not that I'm aware of.
Just want to make sure.
With the multiple accesses, I believe we have 3 on this subdivision. Does that help take the strain off of, I guess, Brown Lane? Richdale, not so much concerned. Brown Lane is just really tight through there.
Yeah, so an original version of this development, which I think is probably now more than maybe 2 or 3 years old, did not have connection back to Richdale. Their only ingress to the development would have been through Brown Lane. And so at that point in time, the recommendation was made that if the applicant had the opportunity to provide connectivity to Richdale, that would help alleviate some of the Brown Lane concerns. And so that's the rendition that's come back to you and before you tonight. So yes, that the connection back to Richdale does provide some relief to the Brown Lane volume that would be anticipated.
So who has agreed to,
It's gonna pay for that.
who's agreed to pay for the turning lanes?
Yeah.
Developers full extent.
146 more cars. Fairfield Park, I need to live on Fairfield Park, I'll be honest with you. Come right to school, 146 more cars. I mean, the city ain't gonna be paying for it.
No, I believe the comment, if you go back, Tom, it specifically states developers are responsible for providing, installing all off-site improvements that result from the updated TIS. So we're covered as far as that goes from the city's
So
responsibility.
it's not required until a certain.
The turn lanes, correct, are not required.
Start up to pay phase 3, but it then I guess it depends on the outcome of the traffic study too.
And who determined that? The TDOT?
The-
Determine what phase he gets to put the turn lanes in.
That was what the threshold was where industry standards that the traffic engineer that submitted the traffic study followed.
Where the most impact would be made, probably, I guess.
It becomes a function of delay time on Fairfield Pike if you're traveling south, right? And if there's not a left turn lane and an individual that's desiring to turn left onto Brown Lane or Richdale, if they have to wait a certain amount of time, according to the industry standard, then that would trigger the need for a left turn lane so that you don't have queuing that backs up. So you
I
provide,
understand, somebody from somewhere else comes in and does these traffic studies, and they're not here all the time. And sometimes I just disagree. I think these developers need to start doing some of these things up front. Let's do the turn lanes when you start building.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, let's do it right, and then we can get the relief immediately instead of waiting until there's a problem and then building.
the turn lane warrant would not meet the threshold with those first 42 houses.
So there's no requirement that says we have to wait to meet the threshold.
Yes, there is.
You have to meet a threshold.
We cannot force them to do that. We're on the threshold. We go by those.
So you didn't have to allow it to even happen.
Yeah, can I add something too?
If they're
Because
allowed to develop their property
That's what I'm
in
saying.
our guidelines, they have a
It
right to develop their property
And-
up to the certain guidelines that are already set in our regulations.
Correct.
So if you're allowed to require traffic studies, if that traffic study doesn't come back, those are national standards. Those are not standards that we ourselves come up with. Those are national standards that we set out, that we follow those in our subdivision regulations. So we have to follow those.
And we need to be updating our
And-
surveys.
And I'll add something else too, because, there was an incident where somebody wanted to, put in a signal as a way to help out their, project. And but those standards have to be, they're not pick and choose these parts that you can add into or not. They have to be justified in some way based off of those standards, so.
But we write up the city writes up their own set of subdivision standards, correct?
That's correct.
And if we change this, not we, if the city changes the subdivision standards, then some of these potential problems could be avoided. Is that not correct?
Why are we waiting till phase 3?
Yeah.
Fairfield Pike is at 41A. I mean, all these places that we're getting ready to talk about tonight, we're not doing the city a good job by allowing this stuff to happen without a plan. And so somebody's going to have to get the subdivision regulations out. We're going to have to redo them. That's what it boils down to.
We're running out of place to put it, Tom. I mean, I represent Ward 6, that's the house out there, ain't nobody, with 4 lanes too. But Fairfield Pike, 2 lane, and that ain't much. I'm surprised that nobody here from Fairfield Pike shows up to speak about it.
Well, I think,
One way.
so she said that,
I
yeah, she
had
said that a lot of
many
people
want
want.
to show
One
up,
way.
and I think if they knew they were losing part of I know the city owns 4 foot, but they don't know that right now. They're not aware of any of it.
And I'm not saying the turning lane's the answer by no means,
Right.
but,
Yeah,
but let's not.
we're getting way off of subject here. We need to
Yeah,
bring it back in here.
It's no secret that Fairfield Pike needs to be improved. The challenge has been, how do you proportionately allocate those improvements to the various developments that have come online through Fairfield Pike? And that's the challenge. Currently, the city doesn't have a mechanism to enact an impact fee or development tax or anything like that to do that proportionately. So that's.
And regardless if we like it or not, I mean, they have rights. These landowners, they have rights too, and that's what we have to think about. We have our policies that we go by, but when an individual or a business acts as, as they should on their property, then they have just as much interest in that, and that's where we have to come to an agreement. I think that the applicant has, they have done everything to what we have on the rules, and really the way we have it on the book, they've met all those, whether we like it or not. But the question does come into, is the impact that it puts there? And I think that the applicant has made a good faith effort in, so how many, after building 40 houses, they will have to.
42, is it 42? I think it's.
I mean, unless, I don't think the only thing else you could ask for would be them to do it immediately. And I don't.
48.
And that-
Phase 1 is 21 lots, phase 2 is 27.
And we can't do that, yeah, and we can't do that, and you can't, and, rightfully so, I'm sure that there's a reason why, but we have to adhere to what we have on our books. And we have to make decisions on the policy that we've set forth. So we just got to keep that in mind.
Okay. And bring anything else, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve.
Motion made to approve. Motion seconded, roll call.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes, on the first phases.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Mower,
No.
Councilmember Turnbow,
No.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilhoit.
Yes.
Motion passes with 6 yeses, 2 noes.
Okay, C has been withdrawn by the owner request. Moving on to new business. Consideration of site plan application for multifamily apartments located on South Britton Street, tax map 890, Group B, Parcel 9, Zone R4, high density residential. Total of 11 dwelling units on 0.9 acres. John Seagross, owner. Stephen Flippo is the representative. Thomas?
I have to make a correction, it's 9 units. This property was zoned R4 on or before 2009. There is a administrative level subdivision application for this property. The single family house here is to remain. And then a portion, 0.9 acres, will be sectioned out. And here is the plat that is pending approval. See, here's the single family. This single family becomes a well, it was already a non-conforming property because, or non-conforming use, because single family is not permitted in the R4 district. So this section out here constitute lot 2 is 0.9 acres. Here's the plan. So we have access off of South Britain and off of White Street. And this property will be addressed off of White Street. And as you can see, they've met, they've met, I would say, a substantial amount of the requirements, but I'll show you the architectural where there needs to be a procedural comment for it. Here's elevation on the front side of the different units. Meets all the materials and design standard. The back section of the property is screened by a 6-foot privacy fence. And actually, if I go back to the plan, you can see it right here is a privacy fence. And then here's where the procedural comment is necessary. On the end units, they need to provide something that will break up or articulate those sides. Is that, because you can see in our design standards, there's a requirement to articulate the side units. And the ones that are visible on from both White and then the other streets that I think it's King Street needs to be articulated in order to just break up that facade. So having addressed all the comments, staff recommended approval of the 9 units with the procedural comments as noted, recording the minor subdivision plat before construction is permitted. The addressing will have to be off of White Street, coordinating with TDOT for any kind of access onto South Britain. They did overpay, so I'm been requesting that you write to me and to get your refund. And then on unit 1 and unit 9, the facade, if you can articulate those, and if you need some help on that, I can help you out on that. And then I know the HVAC units weren't shown, but just to make sure that they are screened from public view.
So instead of 11 units, you said it's 9 units?
It's 9 units, yes. I think originally, I don't know if it was originally 11. I think it was. Okay, it was originally 11, but I think with having to meet the design standards, it changed down to 9.
Okay.
What's the square footage of those units? You know?
Let's see if we can see it on
Well, go back,
the.
the total square footage is on there.
Yeah, total square footage is on there. I'll put it on here, so. That was 73. About 897 square feet averaging.
Okay. Anything else? Motion?
Motion to approve with the 6 procedural notifications.
That's like,
Second, roll call.
Commissioner Wilhoit,
yes.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Mayor Cartwright. I'm sorry. You know when I did that, because you talked to me about that.
I've been persecuting her over that because she comes to that, Mayor Carroll says yes.
Yeah.
Mayor Carroll says yes.
Oh, you did that to me. You
I'll ask Wally what he
cheated me.
thinks.
Several years.
So sorry.
That's
So sorry.
several years of that.
That's
It's
okay,
okay.
Lisa. That's okay.
Whoa,
No
we were talking about it today. He jinxed it.
All right, B, consideration of major subdivision preliminary plat west of Green Lane, tax map 78, parcel 11, Stonewall Run, phase 5, is a 22 single-family lots on 9.8 acres. It's on R3, medium density residential. Black Diamond Construction owner, Northcutt Surveying is a representative.
Okay, we've seen a lot of the Stonewall Run. As you can see, this is phase 5. And in the small corner over here, this is the phasing map that shows where phase 5 is. And so it's coming off of this part of Green Lane. And as far as, I mean, it met all the standards, all the regulations on it. There were just a couple of procedural comments, and it had to do, they were minor in scope, and had to do with the phasing lines, and then address any of the Shelbyville Power comments that they might have. And though that can be done at the construction phase, the phase line, that can be submitted at any point in time. So in this case, we're recommending approval of the 22 lots preliminary plat.
Motion approved, with comments addressed. Second, for Dave. Roll call.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilhoit.
Yes.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
You.
C, consideration of major subdivision preliminary plat, Lexington Cove, planned unit development located north of Union Street and Vine Street, tax map 79, parcels 23 and 23.04, creating 39 single-family lots on 10.52 acres. Firm Holdings owners, Scott St. John Engineering representative.
Okay, so as you recall, this is the preserve at Lexington Cove PUD. So they have this application and the next one in. This is phase labeled 1A for 39 residential lots. And as you can tell, this is the concept. You'll see where in next slide, this is phase 1A. And this is the single family lots that are being proposed. There were no procedural notifications on this. They addressed all of the comments, so we're recommending approval without any procedural comments.
These are the larger, the larger lot, or these are the tiny, the small homes, or which place?
Oh, you're talking about the cottages.
Yeah.
That's in the next
Yeah,
one. You're
okay.
jumping ahead.
Okay, I'm jumping ahead. Cottages, that's bad. I'm sorry.
And we approved the entire PUD.
Yes.
Was it under the same ownership, or has this portion been sold off to someone?
This,
It sounds like a different name.
this is under the same ownership at the
Okay.
moment. I heard that they were going to transfer, but that hasn't been done yet.
Okay. But same quality and that we originally
Yes, sir.
approved for the PUD's gonna be there.
It's
Yes,
the same pattern, they have to go under.
Yep,
the
they
same
have
pattern.
they have to follow the pattern.
Yeah, yes, they'll have to follow that.
I'll make sure, okay.
If somebody has anything else, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded, roll call.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Yeah.
Commissioner Wilhoit.
Yes.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez. Oh, shoot, she's not here. I'm just batting 1,000 tonight. Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes. Commissioner
Moore.
Yeah.
Thank you. Y'all be glad to know I'm taking off tomorrow.
All right, D, consideration of major subdivision preliminary plat of preserve at Lexington Cove. Plan unit development located north of Union Street at Vine Street, tax map 79, parcels 23 and 23.04, creating 17 cottages in horizontal property regime. It's on 3.23 acres. Fairham Holdings owner, St. John Engineering's representative.
Okay, so now we're up, Bo. These are the cottages that you see on this private street here, and adjacent to phase 1A. So this is 1B. This is in a horizontal property regime, as you can see from these units here. And on this plat, there was only one procedural comment. And part of it had to do with just how water is accessed, because the first phase needs to be started in order to, for the water lines to connect up to this part of it. And Shelbyville Shelbyville Power's comment was only to field locate the water. So it met all of our standards. It met the, matches the pattern book. So we're recommending approval based off the one procedural comment.
So we have 5 accesses and entrances and exits for this entire PUD, and this is gonna be using 2 of them?
I didn't put the whole thing. Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Motion to approve. And seconded, roll call.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yeah.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilhoit.
Yes.
Thank you.
E, consideration of rezoning from R2 medium low density residential to R3A medium high density residential, 6.8 acres vacant parcel located west and south of Archery Lane. DCC Strategic Realty Partners LLC is the owner, St. John Engineering representative.
Okay, so as you can see, this is, north, 231 North is actually off to the right here. And this is on Archery Lane here. This is 11.03, it's at 6.8 acres, and it's, an incomplete subdivision. I think it was actually, it came in about 1997. The applicant is requesting a R3A rezoning, and if you review the current zoning map, you can see the zoning surrounding the area. There is a R3 on Old Nashville Dirt Road to the northwest here, but not adjacent to that property. And based on the future land use map, the mixed density residential character is the classification in our in the comprehensive plan. According to the comprehensive plan, there are certain criteria that needs to be met in order to be R3A. In this case, you can see towards the south here, this is just an existing neighborhood towards the south here, buffered by this tree line is a higher density mobile home park. But surrounding it are all single family residential. Because the criteria, because they weren't met, then, well, actually, I forgot that I started doing this as well. I just wanted to put in what are the bulk standards for different regulations. R2 is the current one, and so the gross density, which you'll never get the gross density no matter what because of all the road infrastructure. And in this location, there's sinkholes in that location as well. So at R2 at best, you could get 29.6. R3A is 2 times greater. at 59.24. And I put in R3 because if you notice in my staff report, I had a discussion with the applicant beforehand, and my thought was at the most, it could possibly be R3. And anyway, this one's a R3A, and because it doesn't meet the, it's substantially incompatible, the recommendation is unfavorable to the city council. But in order to give the applicant a chance to speak on their behalf, I don't know if Mike or Scott.
Scott was here, but he walked out.
Yeah.
Right before this.
You left?
Yeah, he had to get to the county meeting.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a, unfavorable recommendation to the city council.
Second.
A second. Got it. Motion in 2 seconds. Roll call.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Scarborough's,
Yes.
Commissioner Will Hoyt,
Yes.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Chairman Lander,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee.
Yes.
That will go to the city council with an unfavorable recommendation.
Okay, F, consideration of rezoning from R3 medium density residential to R3A medium high density residential, 3.08 acres. Vacant parcel located north of Bedford Manor and east of Barksdale Lane. Lisa and Emily Pearl are owners. St. John Engineering, the representative.
Hey, according to the recorded plat, it's about 5.85 acres, and we've seen this project, several times. In this case, the application is for an R3A, medium high density residential from R3. This is a recorded plat back in, May 23rd, 2024. And I think that in our previous discussions on this project, it is I would say that there's some controversy in between the future land use map and an existing zone, or I should say future land use map for the area. And it's evident from the, what the property is being, or what the surrounding neighborhood is. Because you have higher density multifamily here that is non-conforming. To the west, you have a PUD that is not developed. And I believe the applicant still indicates that they are going to correct this or improve this intersection. Which was one of the barriers at the last discussion for R4. And as far as density comparison here, the gross density at 5.85 acres for the R3, you're looking at 33.97. The previous R4, you can see was 84, which was 2.5 times greater. But when you look at the R3A, you look at approximately a little bit more than 25% density. And because of just that, the existing neighborhood, which Bedford Manor is not going to, I think the intent might have been to either eliminate the use or contain it, but it's not going away. It's been there since the 60s. And so in this case, in my review, it was substantially compatible with the adopted maps and policies. So therefore, recommending favorable recommendation to the city council.
I think one of the main concerns on this one has been mentioned, which would be the Barksdale Lane going to Madison there. I think that road, that curve there, I think it's going to really put an uptick on the traffic there. I know that we brought that up at prior meetings. There's like a 90-degree turn in it, and it's pretty small. That,
Yes, it's hidden behind this green line that shows that.
and then there's that weird stop sign.
Or actually, here it is.
Yeah, it's a strange area, but it's, I think it needs to be, there needs to be more attention called to it really than the intersection with Thorn. Cause that road already, you know, it goes to a stop sign and then you
Turn into a stop
then
sign.
you turn into a stop sign, then then you take a right to get on Madison, which is neither, it's not the applicant's issue. I'm just speaking in general on the conditions that exist.
Sure.
Um,
And I'd like to point out too, that probably the way that, yes, this one is, not the best of the intersections, but this is actually closer to this arterial up here.
Yes, that is true, and they, more than likely, that would be the way they would go. That is true, but there's no doubt that it's gonna put some extra traffic on there.
No doubt. I'm not disputing that. And then with the improvement of this intersection, not that, I think that you've got another opportunity to travel there.
Oh, can we not change that word committed to required to fix that intersection? I got all the best of it in the world, but I've changed my mind.
Well, the reason why I put committed is because they're not required to.
We're not putting
Oh.
on it.
That,
It's part of it.
well,
So you go on the city, don't drop it on the city.
yeah, and do you know what the status, is it being improved at this point? I know they gathered prices on it.
Maybe is it in construction?
No, not in construction. Oh, I know that you gathered the, I guess the background information on, this discussed with Shelbyville Power.
We did, we did up Shelbyville Power, they was, they're on board a moving pole, we were out, with no water or sewer issues there. I talked to Public Works, they didn't have any issues either, so. Yeah, we,
Required shouldn't be no big deal.
Oh,
I'm just telling you.
Is this to be built in multiple phases or,
Well,
this is a rezoning, really, we're not.
yeah, this is rezoning. There was a concept plan, but that was based off of R4, not off of this particular one.
Yeah.
Motion, anyone?
And, I will add too that, and this is something that we had discussed before too, about the grouping of, higher densities together. And that's just, that's just my position
Yeah.
of doing that. I
And
mean, it's
that's-
not,
In the
not
past,
suggesting it.
that's
or
what I've hung my hat on because it is there.
But I understand what your concerns.
That's where
about
my
the-
concerns
yes.
are. And what Commissioner Turnbow says as well, and I hope, that we could get a firm resolution to that, and I have confidence that they will that, but I do wish that word was able to.
Yeah. Can we
Well,
defer
I
to,
mean,
defer to
we had a
intersection's
meeting,
fixed?
we had anything in writing from Shelbyville Power that says they've got no problem moving it. It's not gonna cost anybody anything.
I know from the discussion, Public Work, Buck's, the one that's been working on, well, that was actually his suggestion too, was that, if we, and I guess Will has the answer.
Engineer stood up.
All right, so I'm at the risk of stepping out there. State of Tennessee typically does not recognize rezonings with conditions. So you generally would not want to rezone something if it was contingent upon somebody doing something in the future.
That's nothing.
With that said, you will see either a site plan or a preliminary plat come back through for any development that will come before you on this site. That would be the proper time to say, we're not seeing any improvements to this intersection, therefore, we're not approving this site plan or this preliminary plat for you to move forward with any development. So I think in this particular case, if that's the only, point of contention, then I hope I can assure you, and, again, you will have, this body will see a site plan that you will have to approve, or a preliminary plat, depending on which direction the applicant goes, that you will have authority and jurisdiction over to say, you're not doing what you said you were going to do, therefore we're not approving this development. So
At that point, if they've met all the city requirements, here we go. I mean, it's easy to say that now,
yeah,
but
even
they've
at
met all the requirements.
even at that point, we would be able to say in this particular instance that there is a safety concern that supersedes any industry standard for this particular geometric design of how this intersection is laid out. It's a terrible intersection. Like,
There's not the
It looks
time
like
for
there's
that.
no big deal to
Right.
go and fix it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Shelbyville Power won't fix it for free or anything else, but if it ain't a big deal, fix it. It's been that way a long time.
Can I say something? I will say that when I talked to Shelbyville Power, they're not gonna fix it for free. We're taking that cost on the developer. It's
Okay.
no cost to the city on anything. So anything moved would be on the developer. That was what I talked with Jared Dickens about.
Okay. That being said, now, that motion, everybody feel better now.
On that piece of property, we saw on the last one, how many, if we go from R3, how many different, what's the number different?
The density amount.
How many, no, not the number as far as square footage, but the number of units that we're gonna.
That's what these charts are. So currently at R3, you're looking at the number of units to be
Right.
33.97. To go to an R3A, you're looking at 50.96. And this is the gross number.
Right.
Because they're still having to meet the requirements of the design standards for multifamily. They're still having to meet the other requirements of the code for open space, things like that. And as well as roads.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, motion made, seconded, roll call.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Let me vote no. Long as the intersection, yeah. But we ain't, city's not paying for it, I'll tell you that.
Commissioner Wilhoit, Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Chairman Landers.
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
No.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
That motion will go, that item will go to the council with a favorable recommendation with a 7-1 vote.
Okay, H, I, and J taken off the agenda, we'll move now into the administrative approval.
Sorry, actually, there's one more at G,
G.
which is 426 Dover Street.
I'm sorry. Consideration of rezoning from R1 low density residential to R2 medium low density residential of 1.7 acres vacant parcel north of Dover Street, tax map 7941 DCC Strategic Realty Partners LLC owner, St. John Engineering as representative.
Okay, as you can see, this is the subject parcel here. And in our future land use map, it is the mixed density residential character area. And although there's R1 zoning on both sides of it, this property here surrounds it, and this is a substation. So it's a more intensive use than a residential R1. The mixed density residential permits R1 and R2, so it's all consistent with our policies and maps. Here you'll see what the chart is on the gross density again. For R1, the current zoning, the highest and best use is 4.93 gross units. And then when you get up to R2, it is almost double that, but it's still low density. It's considered medium low density residential. And because you have these property, let me go back to, so these are R3 zoning. You can see those are a little bit tighter units there. And then here's that substation, and here's that subject parcel, or that parcel that's bordering on that more intensive use of the substation. So because of this, it meets our policies and maps, and therefore requesting a favorable, right, or recommending a favorable recommendation be advanced to the city council.
Okay.
Now, since this is not a FUD, then R2 would even include double wide mobile homes.
Double wides are permitted in the residential district, but they are on, they have to be on permanent foundations.
Have we gotten any kind of feedback from the neighborhood of what?
No, I mean, the applicant is here, and, I don't know if you have plans for it.
Did R2 around it or on one?
They're both low density, R2 is just a medium, low density, which is single family homes.
There will be houses there, I will say that. It's not gonna be double wide. We don't do double wide. You think,
I didn't think you did, but I just didn't want to say it.
yeah. I don't-
It's just rezoned.
I have a motion for a favorable recommendation. Do I have a second? Second, roll call.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
No.
Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
Yes.
Mayor Carroll.
We didn't get any feedback from the neighborhood.
No, not on this.
I'm gonna vote no.
Commissioner Wilhoit.
Yeah.
Councilmember Turnbull.
No.
That will go to the city council with a favorable recommendation with 5 votes for yes and 3 no.
All right, moving into administrative.
Sorry, we added the 3 lots on the subdivision, the minor subdivision for Shelbyville Housing Authority.
I thought we were-
No, we.
No,
No, we
that moved up from administrative to, as an H to the regular agenda. And the reason being is that we have 3 lots instead of 2. This particular lot here, was thought to be an independent lot, and that's where the Tate Center and the parking lot is. But upon research by the assessor's office, this was determined to be part of the larger, Shelbyville house. So in essence, it created, here's the 2 lots that were the original ones that, are to be subdivided, and then now we have a 3rd lot that's being created. And in this case, there's minor procedural comments on this, but it is in our subregs required to come before planning commission to be approved. There is no right of way being created. It's just being subdivided into 3 lots in anticipation for rezoning applications next month. And so for the minor comments, we're recommending approval of the 3 lot subdivision, and there's some procedural notes for revising the plat certificate to planning commission approval, deleting the references to C2 and R4, show the access for Tate Center, to Elm Street that is actually existing. And then label the Tate Center and the existing features on parcel size and setbacks.
And all this property is federally owned. Mr. Gill, you're on that board. All of this is federally owned, so no city dollars will be involved in, but they probably got somebody looking at that as a commercial purchase. Is that the reason that the housing?
The housing authority deeded it over to 501c3. So
Okay,
it's not the housing authority, but it would be a separate entity. So it would be, but there would be some R4 development, and then the other part, the C, the best land use would be C2. We'll probably sell that, but we'll probably do some income elderly housing on the R4 more than likely.
okay. So what you're probably looking at is to try to sell this property to get more funds to build more housing units for.
But it won't be HUD funds, hopefully we'll get some grants maybe, but yeah,
That's kind of
some
what
of
you're
that money
looking
would go to that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I could speak a little bit more on the rezoning of that
Right.
helps too. So these 3 parcels are being created. Lot 1 is a property that, or the parcel, the future parcel that will be rezoned to C2, if approved by city council. Lot 2 is the R4, and the Tate Center parcel, which is lot 3, I'll call it, will be C2. The C2 will remove some nonconformities. This right now is a community center type of use with a
Right,
parking lot,
right.
and it's located in a residential zone.
Right.
So that'll clean up that nonconformity and bring it back into conforming with our codes. And then this C2 parcel, it's actually, it's in the, I believe it's in the core character area, which is, that's one of the uses that you would like to see is a commercial zone there, as well as the R4 back here.
The Tate Center it remains in housing authority. It's still.
That's what I was saying. And that's right at the entrance to Thomas School off of.
Yeah, the R4 will be next door to the Thomas School.
Right. Okay. Everybody,
Okay? Take a motion for that.
thank you, Mr. Gill.
Can we read what we're voting on real quick? I'm confused on this HI and J, because I wrote removed completely.
Yeah, we took this and off of administrative approval since he had it.
They're listed on here twice, is that what it is?
No, here's what he said. He removed from what is new business, that's 7 new business, H, I, and J are deferred until December. And then he said, under 8D, the administrative approval lot combination, I need to move that to 8.
Oh, okay, I got it.
That's what he did.
I followed you. Sorry.
And that's simply because it's 3 lots instead of 2.
All right. Okay. Motion. I'll make a motion to approve.
That's it.
Seconded, roll call.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill,
I was abstained.
Chairman Landers,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yeah.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Turnbow,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodhull.
Yeah.
That's passed.
All right, Thomas, I'll let you take the administrative approvals and go through them.
Okay.
Several there.
Yes, there are. It was a long one. Well, 113 Martha Street actually came in a couple months ago, but it took some time to adjust the lot line for this one. But in essence, this actually, you can see it already, 2.01. This was all one property, and this is an older subdivision. This is the J.E. Thompson where you have the shotgun lots. And Mr. Taylor subdivided that portion out to sell that portion, and then he maintained that section. So that was a minor subdivision that was approved. Once we have everything all together, that's a recorded plat. And then unless anybody has any questions, I'll go on to B, which was a lot line shift on Landers and White Street. There were two properties involved in this, and that was this one that is off of Landers and this one on White Street, the vacant lot. So there was a lot line shift, 0.70 acres of R3. This is the recorded plat. You can see the new line here. And that was administrative approval. Moving on to Elliott Street. Elliott Street is also R3.37 acres, and this was a minor subdivision to create a lot in the back on Walnut. And you see the subdivided parcels there. Not a lot of controversy in that one either. This is the, and actually in agenda item D is the one that was deleted initially because there is no lot combination anymore. That initially was the Tate Center property, but because it was not individual properties, it's just being created by that 3-lot combination or 3-lot subdivision. The minor subdivision on Kingery and Britton is an administrative approval. This is that 1.22 acres that was approved earlier in the site plan as R4 apartments. And you'll see that as a whole, it's 1.22 acres. Reason it was zoned R4 prior to 2009. Here's the subdivided section out of it. And that's an administrative level approval as well. So the applicant will need to get this recorded in order to begin the other, at least before the construction of the apartment project. That's the administrative portion.
All right. Staff report. We need to talk about the planning commission meeting for December.
It's scheduled for December 19th, except for Lisa and I are both off after that. I'm here, but.
We're here on the 19th.
Yes.
We're off all the next
Yes.
week and next week.
Yes, between the two of us. So, and there is a BZA, you know what, that's supposed to be 12/18. I don't even know what month it is anymore. But on Wednesday, we have a BZA meeting for a special exception use. That hasn't been posted yet because we're still going through the application. The only other times are really, and I think I have a pre-planning meeting on the 16th for the January session. Not that that affects any of the dates, you know, for the planning commission.
So Tom, BZA meeting's on the 18th,
Yes,
and you're saying the PC meeting's the 19th.
yes.
But we can move that, correct?
Is that what you're wanting us?
Well,
you're wanting-
No, I'm hoping you won't move it because it really, it impacts more than just our, you know, our current schedule.
So you're wanting to keep it as is?
No, somebody mentioned that they wanted to look at what the date was for the planning commission.
Okay.
So that's why.
I don't think we realized it had already been moved, Tom. That was the reason why it needed to be on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
So that has already been approved, is what you're saying?
It was scheduled in the calendar at the beginning of the year.
Yes, and I think that was,
We usually do address the November, December meetings in the calendar at the beginning of the year because they do usually conflict with Christmas and Thanksgiving. So this one was, for some reason, the November one wasn't, and we had to address it last month. But this one was addressed at the beginning of the year in the planning commission calendar. So if everybody's good with the 19th, that's what works best with everybody's schedule, we'll just leave it.
And BZA meeting the 18th is at what time?
that is at 6 o'clock. And at the next meeting, I'll have the calendar for next year.
All right. So
Okay.
we will meet on the 19th, which will be the third Tuesday.
I've got one more
Thursday.
question.
Third Thursday, I'm sorry.
The, is the growth committee still meeting? Is the growth committee, didn't we form a growth subcommittee?
There is a subcommittee, but I haven't scheduled anything. It's, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but it's just me at the moment. So at the beginning, at the next meeting, you'll see what the calendar of the projected, what we're going to be working on. So
I'd like to see those subdivision guidelines handed to that growth committee to review.
if it fits within what we're proposing, because there's, if you look at the number of or I'll say weaknesses, they're not deficiencies, but they're weaknesses within both subregs, comp plan, as well as the zoning ordinance that we're gonna be proposing. And then we'll, it used to be that, I guess, we worked on, different amendments, just in the springtime. But I think that, we might be able to up that a little bit and do it twice a year.
Yeah,
So-
I know y'all.
and I know-
I know we mentioned it, and then
Yes.
we just hadn't heard much about it, so I didn't know if it was dissolved or if we were still.
No, there is no such thing as dissolving in planning. It's
I
just,
know. I see a
it's
lot
just
of-
forward progress.
That's right.
Okay. So that being all said, I do have one announcement. We are going to, and I talked to Thomas about this before.
Yes.
On our January meeting, we're going to meet at 5 o'clock for 1 hour of training. I kind of saw this one coming and it just all came together tonight. But the speakers at that night will be John Freeman of Shelbyville Power. He is going to bring us all the latest statistics, gallons, in, out, he's going through it all. And, I guess it's prophetic, but he's gonna be here in January at 5 o'clock. So we will meet for 1 hour. Thomas will be providing the meal and,
Take time.
Can we put our order in right now?
Well, does anybody have a preference on the food location?
so much Christmas and thank you.
You do it, don't you pick it out.
And with that being said, we'll stand adjourned.
Live.